Yeah, again, building off of last night, good Tuesday midweek game for us, another win. But now, again, we're back on the weekend. Great team we're playing at the SEC. Seems like we say that every week. So we're going to prepare well today and tomorrow and try to play our best baseball this weekend.
I'm going to fill the Dave Cloninger role today and ask you the first question. What's kind of the pitching look like for you guys? Do you have a sense yet of what it might look like rotation-wise, and any health updates with those guys?
Yeah, well, number one, I'm distracted by the fact that you didn't say thanks for doing this. If you're going to assume the role of David, you need to say that. Rotation-wise, yeah, we'll announce it very soon. We've already announced that Hall will not be a part of it this weekend, but I think you can probably anticipate the rest of it based on what we did last weekend.
Mark, if you do end up going TBA on Sunday, how do you kind of evaluate the characteristics you're looking for in that Game 3 starter? Does starting experience matter? Just what are some things that you'll look for as you try to set up that pitching for Game 3?
Well, I think you can kind of, figure out. You guys know us well enough now to know who the candidates would be. Guys, I don't anticipate us starting anybody in that game that hasn't started a game already this year. So you can kind of figure out who those candidates are. A lot of it just has to do with who do you need to use in Friday and Saturday's games. It's just a use of resources, and you know who you have left, you know who has starting experience, and so that's really what it comes down to.
Vanderbilt in their 20-whatever games coming into conference play, they were at the bottom of the SEC in most every offensive category. Now they're top in the SEC in league play in basically every offensive category. In your scouting of them, what have you seen that's changed? What's made them go a little bit more in league play than early in the year?
Yeah, it's a good question. We haven't dug into it a ton. We're just getting started now this morning, so I'd hate to give you too strong an opinion on any reason why. But I know they have good players. Again, they're hitting. It's not like they were hitting 220. They're hitting 290 overall now. So it's a good team. They run a lot. Obviously, Bradfield's a big part of that. But I can't give you a concrete reason why they turn the corner offensively. But sometimes it just takes time. Sometimes a cold weather school takes a little more time to get their bats warm. It's hard to say, but I can't really give you that answer yet. Was it? Yeah, well, that's more impressive then that they're hitting 290 now.
I know you just said you haven't gotten all the way into it yet, but their pitching staff, especially those lefties, what kind of challenge does that present? And do you have to kind of go about building your lineup differently when you might see three lefties in 3 days?
Well, it'll be the first time we faced, potentially three lefties. I think we're still waiting to get that confirmed. I think they went right, left last week, but we're waiting. I think they're waiting to see what they're going to do with Holton at this point. But if they do throw three lefties, obviously our lineup tweaks a little bit based on that. We have the ability to match up a little bit. We don't have a ton of extras right now, so our lineup is pretty close to what it is. But there are probably one or two spots where we could tweak it if we need to. But it's three quality lefties. Their pitching is obviously a very strong point of their team, so we're going to have to take great at-bats all weekend.
Gavin's probably had maybe an up and down start to league play at least. What have you seen from him in terms of teams maybe pitching to him, and how do you maybe guard against him getting maybe a little bit too emotional going back to Vanderbilt?
Yeah, I think, again, he'll be going back to Vanderbilt for the first time. I think everybody handles that differently. I think the key for him is to just try to, as best he can, treat it as baseball, and he's a Gamecock, and he's going back to play another good team, and just try to handle that the best you can. But there'll be some emotions for him. He's human, and there'll be some emotions there. As it relates to how he's being pitched, teams are trying to pound him in right now. You're seeing a lot of hit by pitches with him recently. So teams are trying to pound him in, and that's the great thing about baseball is it becomes a chess match. He adjusted to them early on. They've adjusted back. Now it's his turn to adjust and sit on certain pitches and do some damage so that they feel like they have to make another adjustment. So that's the beauty of baseball, is that pitchers and hitters are always adjusting to each other.
Just to go back to last night real quick in the ninth inning, the little defensive meltdown in the infield.
Always positive, Phil. I love that. Always positive.
That's me, Mr. Positive. No, what did you have to say? A little something to Braswell or anything? Did Did that come up in post game conversation? Just maybe a little loss of concentration there.
Well, it's the whole team. Again, one of the things that great teams possess is the ability to finish strong for the entire 27 outs, and we will focus on that. I didn't focus on it in the post game. I've limited my post game speeches to very minimal now, spending much more time the following day to really focus on what needs to be focused on, and our overall attention to detail late in that game, will be addressed to the entire team today.
Hey, Mark, back here. Obviously, this is a huge stretch you guys are going after weekend, no breaks off. So beyond the win column, what's sort of the biggest thing you're looking to learn about this team as they go through this difficult stretch?
Well, I think I just want to learn that they're going to continue to evolve and improve as the season goes on. We are who we are right now. We have strengths, we have weaknesses, and the key is to try to continue to improve and minimize your weaknesses and make sure that you are consistent with your strengths. And so from a learning your team standpoint, we have a few guys that we need to continue to see where their roles evolve, especially out of the bullpen. But for the most part, I think we kind of know who we are, and now it's just a matter of improving the areas that it's necessary and maintaining the consistency, because there's some areas where we are excellent, and it's just a matter of maintaining that.
Couple of things on Bradfield. How have you seen him evolve as a player over the course of his career? And he's got 29 stolen base attempts, 25 successful. But Cole has been pretty good lately in throwing guys out. Got a couple of speedy guys at Mississippi State. How do you anticipate trying to keep him at first when he makes it there?
Well, look, he's one of the premier stolen base guys in the country, if not the premier stolen base guy in the country. He's been like that since the day he stepped on campus. I think his offense has evolved and his swing has improved over the years. I think he's a complete ball player, and so he is an issue. He is on the scouting report of things you have to make sure you're aware of. But in terms of doing anything special for him compared to any other great runner we've played against this year, it's still about the basics. It's about the fundamentals of pitchers being quick to the plate. It's a matter of keeping the runners close with good picks, changing your looks, all the things that you do for any base stealer, you have to do with him. There's nothing new to create because it's Enrique Bradfield. It's just the constant management of the running game, of keeping them off balance, of changing your looks, changing how quickly you go to the plate. All those things matter, and we've done a really nice job early in the season. It was a little bit of a concern for ours, but I think our pitchers, Cole's been throwing very well, French has been throwing well, so that's something that we've done a much better job of as the season's gone on, but it will continue to have to be a focus against this team as well.
Vanderbilt's all turf field, correct? If
Correct.
I'm not mistaken. How does that change maybe how you approach the game in terms of what does that look like, and how does that play differently than maybe an all grass natural field with the dirt infield?
Yeah, well, we won't change how we play. It'll just be a matter of it places a high importance on the Thursday practice. So does it play slower or faster than what we're used to? Generally, teams that go from turf to grass and dirt have a little bit harder adjustment than vice versa. And so the turf is going to give you true hops, but they're a little bit different. Sometimes the spin's a little bit different. So we'll put our guys on the clock so they get used to, okay, that's a routine ground ball. Is it getting to me in less or more time than what I'm used to? And then how do I need to account for that with how quickly I get rid of the ball? So there'll be some details that we have to really focus on tomorrow night at practice that you might not normally do because of that turf field. But otherwise, you got to get used to the bounce in the outfield. That's an area where sometimes you'll see balls bounce and get over an outfielder's head that they're not used to playing that way. So all of that will be key in our Thursday practice.
You mentioned the pickoffs there. John asked about it. You had another one last night with Becker. On pickoff moves specifically, is that a Justin Parker thing? Is that a whole staff thing? How do you kind of go about setting up those pickoff moves and maybe timing when you want to do that?
Well, you work on it in practice, obviously, and then Parker makes the decision. Parker calls the pitches, and then he also calls the picks, and he calls the holds and the shakes and all those things. Parker kind of is the architect of all those things, and then it's up to the pitcher to get it done and make sure the move is done properly at the right pace. And so Becker did a nice job executing it. We did a nice job getting the runner at second base after he was picked off. So, yeah, all that goes through Parker.
I know we talked with you immediately after the game on Thursday about Will and bouncing back from his week off. But over the course of this week, after you've evaluated, how the game looked on film and just seeing him interact and so forth, his demeanor this week, how do you feel like now that week helped him, both from a mental and physical standpoint?
I think it helped. I don't think there's any question. Look, we all need that at some point. I've used the analogy before. Sometimes your phone just gets clogged up and backed up, and you need to reset it. And that's exactly what we wanted to do with Will. I think mentally, he's a guy that cares so much that sometimes the guys that care the most put the most pressure on themselves, and then it just becomes harder to just relax and do what you do. And so I think that weekend off for him was a good mental break. I think it was a good physical break. He's recommitted himself to certain areas in the weight room. And so I saw a better pitcher last week against the #1 team in the country, and I'm hoping it's something that he can build on. He threw his off-speed pitches for strikes at a better rate last week. The hitters were taking worse swings than we had seen them taking against the off-speed pitches. So I think it was all positive, and now we need to see him build on that because we're facing another really good offense this weekend. He threw the 3 innings thanks to the rain delay. Hopefully that's 6 or 7 this week.
Hey, Mark, sticking with the theme of this stretch and the quality of opponent, what's your sense of how these guys are relishing the quality of opponent, knowing that their ultimate goal, these are the type of teams they're going to have to not only play but win and have success against?
Well, that's why you come to the SEC, right? You want to be the best. You want to play the best. You want to be in the best environment. So our guys, you use the word relish. They relish it. They enjoy this. They really do. It's the bigger the opponent, the bigger the stage, the more they get excited. And then it's up to us as coaches to make sure they're managing it properly and not getting too excited or overly excited. And I think we've done a great job. You look at Game 1 against LSU, and you had a packed Founders Park, and we played some of our best baseball. So I think that's a really good sign that this team, and when you have winners tend to play even better when the stakes get higher. And I've seen that with this team so far. So it's just a matter of continuing to build on that.
Yeah, my question was kind of the same. I'll just kind of follow on that. For you personally, having a team as you run this gauntlet, but your team also nationally ranked, how does it feel to be at the helm of a team that is mixed up in these kind of games where every move is dissected nationally and the entire national baseball, college baseball media is sort of watching what you do?
And you got to love it. I mean, if you don't love that, then you shouldn't be here. If you're not prepared for it, then I think it can scare you. If you don't have confidence, then it can scare you. But if you have self-confidence as a coach or a player, if you're prepared and you're a competitor, I mean, then what's better? If you're scared of a little bit of scrutiny, if you're scared of being second-guessed by people that may or may not have as much information as you do, then you shouldn't be here. So that's the way I look at it.
In a couple of weeks since we checked in on his status, Jacob Compton, are you redshirting him? Kind of what's the situation with his injury?
As of right now, he will take a medical red shirt unless something crazy happens. All right. Appreciate it.